Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's video is about plastic welding. I will be using a soldering iron and some common tools in this video, and I'm going to show you how to fix broken parts of motorcycles. The reason for repairing these parts and not buying new ones is that new fairing parts are usually very expensive, and in the case of this bike those fairing parts are no longer available for sale and you will have to buy used ones or broken ones anyways. So repairing is often a solution for parts that are no longer available for sale. However, the workload is pretty big and you have to make sure that it's actually worth your time doing this. Otherwise, it's a simple solution to fix sometimes very broken parts for yourself and make them work like new again. Usually the parts that you find are made out of ABS plastic. The headlights have parts that are made of polypropylene, and the glasses of the headlights or any turn signals are usually made out of polycarbonate. And all these materials are fixable using plastic welding and using a simple soldering iron. The filler material I use is simple ABS sheets that I buy off Amazon, and it's roughly $10 per sheet, and you can do a lot of stuff with just a small amount of that. Right now I'm showing off parts that I've already fixed and just moving them so you can see that they are holding up and that there's a solid fix there. And in the next step we'll move on to the tools that I'm using. So the first tool that I have is this soldering station. It's a soldering iron with adjustable temperature, which lets me adjust to the right temperature for the material that I'm using. Then I've also got a Dremel tool with a tear-shaped drill bit. And I also have this hot air plastic welder. Both of these tools are not going to be part of this video since I will only be using common tools for this one. I also have my trusty ABS sheets and a pair of metal shears to cut off pieces of them that I'm going to be using for welding, and I have an assortment of files to file down the edges of what I'm welding. I also use sanding paper, a sharp edge knife and aluminum tape. The aluminum tape helps me stabilize the parts, while the knife is used to clean up edges. Now let's start. What you can see here is a big broken up piece that I will attach to a piece that I've worked on previously. So the first step is to look at the edges, find all the pieces that you have and just puzzle everything together in the right way. And then all the pieces will be attached to each other using the aluminum tape. The aluminum tape has the advantage that it's really stable and that it can withstand heat, which makes it ideal for holding everything together while you're welding on the other side of it. I make sure that all the pieces I have fit into the edges where they broke off as snug as possible, just to make sure that everything will be in the same position that it was when it broke. And I also make sure that the tape sits flat so it has a really good grip on everything and holds everything together properly. I do this by just using bits and pieces where I think that they are needed, and I will go along most of the edge of everything that I'm putting together with this. With some of the bigger parts it can be difficult to hold things in the right position while you're taping it up, but it's really important to take your time here and do things the right way. If your damaged parts are just broken in a straight line, then it will be easier to do than it is on the video, because you could just use one single strip of tape all across the edge of the brake. I have to put things together piece by piece and make sure that they fit into each other here and that I'm not disturbing the other pieces that I've already taped in. So it's a little bit more difficult to just do with two hands. Now that tape up is finished and I'm turning things around to have a look on how everything fits together on the other side. And I'll make sure to just improve the gaps all around and see that everything really fits together well. Now that everything is taped up, I will switch to using the soldering iron. It's already preheated, and what I'm doing here is I will use the small end of the tip, not the wide bit, to just do a few tack welds to give everything a bit more stability. I'm using the edge of the soldering iron on purpose here. If I use the wide bit, I may just move all of the pieces that I'm trying to put together here. This way I can just try to give a bit of a weld without giving any pressure to both edges of the part that I'm trying to join together. Now the next step is using the edge of the soldering iron to follow all of the seams around the broken parts. And for this, as you can see, I'm applying quite a bit of pressure while also trying to hold everything together by hand, and the aluminum tape also has the job of holding the bits together. I do this so I have a small bit of weld down inside both parts that will give everything more stability for when I do the real weld later. What you've seen me do right there is pick up some trash right off the tip of the soldering iron, and it's something that you really shouldn't do. If you just touch it really quickly, it's not enough to quite burn your fingers, but in the spirit of safety, it's not something that should usually be done. Another point when it comes to safety is what you can see is I'm working outside and I'm working with ABS. If I were anywhere inside right now, I would be wearing a mask and I would be in a room that has air going through it, because ABS releases toxic fumes if you work on it. So keep that in mind if you ever plastic weld something yourself. Wear a mask and keep everything ventilated, or do it outside if you can. So after giving everything a small weld to join it together, I'm using the knife to remove all of the accumulated material that's just pushed out by going through the seams everywhere. This stuff just gets in the way, and it usually has pieces of paint still stuck in it, and that just will be bad for the final weld after you've finished everything. You can also sand down the area around the weld to make sure you don't get any paint in there. You shouldn't sand anything down before you weld, simply because you will destroy the, let's call it, puzzle shape of the pieces, and they won't fit together in the right way. And this is the end of part 1. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, and maybe you'll come join me in the next part. So goodbye, and I hope to see you next time.